Greetings, friends, and welcome back to the 3 Minute Horror Show. Today I'll be interviewing writer, director, and producer Zach Shildwachter. Zach has done many jobs behind the camera and a few in front as well. He's worked on some very high-profile projects, and he's probably the only person on the planet that loves Nightbreed more than I do. And I am so happy to have him here. And you can see behind him right now, he's got all sorts of Nightbreed posters, all sorts of Cabal posters. Yeah, see, this is the only guy on the planet that, maybe other than Clive Barker, that loves Nightbreed more than I do. Holy smokes. Zach, before we get started, would you like to give the audience a little background on yourself?
Sure. I am from the Cleveland, Ohio area. I've
Okay.
been in the film and TV industry for 20 plus years. I made my bones working in New York City. I moved from Ohio to New York and worked on a lot of different projects there, some network television like Law and Order, Criminal Intent, Rescue Me, Fringe, a couple pilots, things like that, some studio feature films like Salt, the remake of Taking a Pelham 123, some independent stuff, like Starting Out in the Evening with Frank Langella, Lauren Ambrose, Lily Taylor. That went to Sundance as well as another film, Padre de Nuestro, which was the title was changed to Sangre de mi Sangre, and that actually won Sundance. Those were both in the same year. Um, and then like music videos, industrials, things like that. It's New York, so you're always chasing rent.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it's like summer camp just over and over and over again. Um, yeah, I really enjoyed my time there, but I had found that I was working on other people's stuff more than working on my own stuff, which is
Right.
what I wanted to do. So I moved back to Cleveland. I've been back for 10 plus years now. And I've been, slow going, but it is the indie way of things. But connected with a lot of different filmmakers here, some really cool, talented artists and creatives. I've recently been working on a couple different feature films, and that kind of brings us to now.
So you've got such a breadth of experience that I've got in my next section where I'm asking you some more questions about your career. The fact that you have worked on network television and worked on major Hollywood features is going to be. I haven't had someone on the show before that's had that type of experience, so it's going to be an interesting conversation, I think.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. So just some background though. Have you always been a creative person?
I was always the kid that was doodling all the time. I got in trouble in class a lot for not paying attention. Like I would just learn stuff really quick, and then just be like, okay, are we doing more? And be like, no, everyone's still kind of processing. So I would just doodle and all that. In my later years, that turned into like graffiti art and stuff like that. Um, I'm a child of the 80s, so my parents did have one of those big brick style over the shoulder camcorders that I would run around with and try to, imitate Spielberg kind of thing and just atrocious, you know, in edit little movies kind of thing. Um, and it was a different time growing up then because you had the boom of home video.
Yeah.
And then I saw the death of VHS and beta, the birth and death of mini DV tapes. I remember going to college at Ohio University, and like I learned editing on a reel-to-reel Steinbeck, like you were physically cutting film wearing
Oh
the dumb
wow.
white gloves and all that. Um, and then, that's no nobody really does that anymore, and then it became Avid and Final Cut Pro, and then it mutated even beyond that. Um, so yeah, I've always tried to be creative in some form of, some type of art. I actually kind of got my start in production through the art department. I did a lot of prop fabrication, set dressing, scenic painting, things like that. I actually had a blog for a while where I was chronicling it all. It's like
Yeah.
awkwardcreations.blogspot.com. I think it's still up.
If it's
Um,
still up, we should link to it in the interview or
oh,
in the
I haven't
description.
touched it in probably decades.
Yeah. I don't know. It might be
But
fun
it's
to check
got
out
it's got
though.
some fun behind the scenes stuff. Like
Yeah.
when I was working in the art department on this movie called Greetings from the Shore with Paul Sorvino.
Hmm.
Um, and it was a cute little kind of romantic comedy, very like Aldi version of Nicholas Sparks sort of thing. Um, and then I kind of fell into the production track because I was able to, schedule and formulate how to make things fall into place based on time and budget and things like that. So yeah, it's not as creative as being able to like form stuff and things like that. So I did take some special effects makeup classes and taught myself a lot of that. My wife is actually an aspiring effects artist as well. So we always have little back and forths with different projects that we want to do together,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
always trying to trick her into making me a giant kaiju monster suit. One day it'll happen.
What sort of things did you draw artistic inspiration from as a child? Like, what were you into?
Um, I mean, growing up, I loved all the stuff that I wasn't supposed to watch. Like my
Yeah.
my, my parents were, they were religious, but not like tyrannically so. Um, but like I was a big fan of like Elvira, um, USA's Up All Night with Rhonda Shear and Gilbert Godfrey, Joe Bob Briggs. I remember like that he was one of the first authors of film criticism that I really resonated with. I couldn't really get behind like uh, Ebert and Roper and Siskel and Ebert, that whole thing, because they weren't really watching the type of movies that I wanted to watch. My dad was a big fan of like chopsocky kung fu flicks. Um, that was one of his favorite things. He loved westerns and classics like that. Um, USA Network also had Commander USA. Being from the Cleveland area, we had Ghoulardi. That was a big host growing up as well. So, and then there's still a plethora of horror hosts out there, which I think nowadays we need more so than ever before because there's so much content that no one is really curating in a distinct style or way. I know we still got Joe Bob and Darcy and um, their deal with Shudder is finishing up, and they're supposed to be doing a new show. Um, and Rhonda Shear, she's back. So that's cool. But I think we kind of need some new blood, some people that are not just horror hosts that because there's so much stuff out there, and especially in the internet age of like the YouTube stars that we're starting to see break out now. Like with Back Rooms and Iron Lung and Obsession and things like that. Um, so yeah, I try to draw inspiration from VHS mixtapes, comic books, anime. Um, I'll watch anything I can to try to figure something out. Like I don't think there's such a thing as a bad film. I think um, somebody showed up and did their job that day. Whether it be the costumes were stellar, the lighting was on point, the sound was good. It might be dog shit all around, else story wise or thematically or however you want to quantify it. But yeah. Oh, you're muted.
Oh my God, what the fuck?
No worries. I saw the little red
Oh
microphone. I
my
was like,
God. Yeah, I
oh,
was wondering why I was talking and it wasn't coming through. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that in because everybody likes it when I make mistakes.
Yep.
So, that's fun. I was going to say that there are some people who are trying to bring back the horror host now. There was a Helvira. There are a couple of Helvira movies.
mhm.
I know it's a takeoff on Elvira, but Sushi Holder plays Helvira in a couple
Yeah,
of
there
these
was
things.
I remember there was a real short-lived reality competition show where she
Yeah,
was looking for a replacement. It was in that whole era of like Mission, I think it was Mission Media that was
yeah.
pumping out Face Off for Sci-Fi Channel, and then they did Hot Set. That was the one where it was like production designers competing.
Yeah, but I don't
Um
think those went anywhere in the end.
Um, it was difficult. Like Face Off went 13 seasons. I actually
Oh, okay.
auditioned for that
Did you?
twice. And of
Yeah.
course I didn't make it, but uh I would have totally gotten my ass smoked if I would have. So it worked out for the best.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that was something that was really cool that we kind of lost, where reality TV was somewhat educational as
Yeah.
well as entertaining, because that spun off Monster Man with uh Cleve Hall and his daughter Constance. Um, I would have loved to have seen a TV show with uh like there was the artist Alan Tusk from Face Off.
Okay.
He was worked under Kurtzman, Robert Kurtzman, the K and B effects.
Hmm.
And the cool thing is Kurtzman moved his family from LA to Ohio. Like I'm sure he was probably seeing his kids turn into Bret Easton Ellis characters, and he wanted something a little more sound. So he ended up setting up shop in Crestline, Ohio. And so, like, I know they still do a lot of effect stuff there.
Hmm.
They worked with the band Mushroomhead and did some Pond stuff in different movies and things like that. Like Becky Ingram, who was also on Face Off, is part of that shop and all that. So I know he was supposed to do a school once upon a time, and that kind of fell apart. I'm not sure what it was,
Hmm.
because it was going to be cool, because there's not very many effects makeup schools. There's Savini in Pennsylvania. There's, I want to say, Joe Blasco in Florida. There's Cinema Makeup School in LA. Um, I'm probably missing some, but off the top of my head.
I don't know. I can't. I'll say you're right, and you haven't missed any because I don't know.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah. So, at what point in your life did you decide to pull the trigger and move to New York?
Um, well, I had graduated from college, and I moved back home, and at the time my mom was battling breast cancer.
Oh,
Um, so she had a double mastectomy, and basically I was really helping her with uh all the fun stuff that comes with dealing with that.
yeah.
And it was nice. I was able to help out my dad. I was kind of living at home. I was working three jobs at once. I was substitute teaching from mornings to afternoons. I was mostly teaching junior high, like math, science, that kind of stuff. And then I would go from afternoons to evenings. I'd work at this portrait studio, Picture People. I don't know if it's like a large franchised thing where, like, you take your kids and you get like five different poses, and
Okay.
it was super goofy. There was just like parents screaming at their kids, "Smile! This is going on Grandma's mantelpiece."
We didn't have that in
Um,
Canada, but
yeah, but it was cool. Like, I got to
yeah.
shoot film and play with lighting, and that's what I
Yeah.
really done about it. And then evenings to late nights, I was working at a strip mall blues bar. I was like bar backing and cooking, washing dishes, things like that. So,
Yeah.
like, I was working like one job to the next in a day. Like, come back, kind of take care of my mom, repeat. Any off day, I would take her meds, things like that. Um, so I was able to, save up enough money to, after about a year, my mom got better. She was in, remission. And then so I pulled the trigger and moved to Brooklyn. I was in Sunset Park, Brooklyn.
What was the first film project that you worked on when you were out there? And what was that experience like for a first timer?
The very first one I ever worked on was I'd found it through a Craigslist ad, actually. This is
Oh,
when,
okay.
Craigslist was still kind of
Yeah.
the Wild West. And it was for a movie called Unholy. And it's the biggest stars in it were Nicholas Brendan, who was he was right before he was seriously starting to battle his demons with
Yeah.
addiction and things like that. And it was Adrienne Barbeau, and this was
Oh.
like her first project post Carnival. So that's the time frame of it all. And it's a ludicrous story. There's like uh, government experiments, witchcraft, Nazis. Um, it just the time travel, like, it jumps all over the place. But it was a lot of fun. Um, and with that, like I was able to see like how a set runs and works, and like, oh, like anytime you watch something and it cuts from, a shot of you to a shot of me to a shot of the two of us, like that's
Yeah.
three different camera setups that you need to do with three different lighting setups that you need to do. Um, and then you need to have props on the ready. Are they in the right wardrobe with continuity with that? If they get splattered with blood, coffee, a torn shirt, whatever kind of thing. So that was really intriguing. And then I worked on that for free. Like I didn't
Okay.
know any better. But from there, I met a string of people in the production that were like, okay, you're really good at your job. Like you listen. If you don't know something, you ask what it means rather than trying to figure it out, set something on fire and say you didn't know. Um, and so I was the very first paid job was immediately after that, and that was a gothic horror film called Sea of Dust. Um, and that starred the guy that played multiple Migs in Silence of the Lambs, Tom Savini,
Okay.
and it was the last film by Ingrid Pitt. So if you're a fan of like Hammer horror and all
Yeah.
that, like
Yeah.
so. And it was a period piece. We shot that like in New Jersey, like in the backwoods, this historical village. It was ridiculous. Like also at Fort Taunton, this super old army base on like the bay there of
Yeah.
of New York. So um yeah, yeah, that was, and I think I was paid $50 a week, and I was working
Wow.
like 6 days,
Holy
5,
smokes.
6 days a week. Um, But I was floating on cloud nine. I was like, dude, I'm getting paid to make movies. This doesn't even cover my light bill, um, but that was cool. I felt like I was on my way.
Yeah.
Um, and then from there, like, I was wanted to try to branch out. I was doing art department stuff. Um, the low budget stuff there, like Bollywood movie. You learn like the differences between those and like American and
Yeah.
things like that. And then moving into television, that's a whole different beast, especially different TV shows of their
Yeah.
shooting style, the content that they're trying to capture between it all. So yeah, I mean, you learn like different. I always equated it with there's different styles of kung fu. They all kick ass, but it's
Yeah.
Crane versus Drunken Master kind of thing.
Yeah. And then so you've got the Crane, you got Drunken Master, and then you've got very regimented um accountant style kung fu, which is like a Law and Order type show.
I mean, Law and Order was super cool. It was
Yeah.
I was there when Chris Noth got fired.
Oh, okay.
Um, so that was really interesting. Vincent D'Onofrio and Katie Irby,
Oh, wow.
Alicia Witt, um, Eric Bogosian, like that was really cool. And working on those shows, like I got to travel all throughout the five boroughs. Like I went to a lot of different places I had no business going to.
Yeah.
Um, and then, it was cool because with network television, depending on your season, it's you shoot however long the season is, however many episodes. So with Criminal Intent, we were doing an episode I believe it was every nine days was one
Hmm.
episode. Um, and then sometimes it'd be shorter, sometimes it'd be longer, depending on like what it was, special guest stars, things like that. Like we had a myriad of
Oh, yeah, I
wacky
bet.
guest
Yeah.
stars. A lot of really fun, cool ones. Um, like um, uh, David Cross. I worked with him on Criminal Intent, and then like I worked with him again on the canceled show Running Wild, the one with Will Arnett.
Okay.
Um, it was from the same guys that did Arrested Development. Um, and then there was that taught me a lot. I came in as the walkie PA, so I was in charge of like the most amount of gear. And you had to track down all this department heads and all their cronies and all that. And you learn to not be intimidated by grips and electric real quick. Um, don't take no shit, don't start no shit kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, but you learn like the different styles of like how things are meant to function when it's a well-oiled machine that actually
Right.
has a budget behind it. Um, I was there also when it was the strike, the uh, the first writer strike,
Right.
and that sucked. But I was able to bounce around. I got on a couple different shows, so you can see like the different styles, and then when you work on something that has less of a budget, you see, oh, this is where they cut corners at, and that makes sense. Or you see, oh, this is where they cut corners, and that is stupid because now we're in this mess, and we got to
Hmm.
continue with it. Um, and then it's the style of things. Like Criminal Intent was very, it'd been on for so many seasons. Like
Right.
these camera departments, Grips and Electric, the wardrobe department, they can just bang it out. Um, when I was working on Fringe, that was kind of at the height of the popularity of Lost. So everyone was very much into that, and they wanted to push Fringe. And then like the scripts for that were getting constantly held up. So
Mm.
we would do like 18, 20, 22 hour days kind of
Oh my
thing.
God.
And then that show eventually moved up to Canada when the tax credits basically vanished from New York. Because
Right.
basically what happened was someone told the mayor, like, hey, all these people that want to come into our state to shoot in New York City because they need Times Square or the Empire State Building, what have you, instead of giving them a tax incentive, a tax break on their production, like we won't, and they'll just spend more money and we'll get even more money. And then
Yeah.
productions were like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. We'll go to Toronto. And that was like another vacuum of work gone.
Yeah.
But it kind of bounced back. So, um, but yeah, different shows like working on Rescue Me. That was more of a multicam shoot. So I learned how to shoot, three, four, five, six cameras at the same time of like how you set it up. Like here's your close up, here's your wide. This is the stunt sequence. This is how you rig it to keep camera safe. This is, what you have to do. And then you learn like different styles and things like that. Like a lot of those guys ended up working on this other show, Lights Out, with Holt McCanley and Stacy Keach, and Pablo Schreiber, the porn stash from Orange is the New Black. It's a really fun boxing show. It only got the one season. I was really surprised it never got renewed, but
Mhm.
uh, that taught a lot as well.
Yeah, that breadth of experience. Like I keep talking about the breadth of experience, but that have and knowing all that, having all that knowledge from working on all of those major projects with all the multicam shots and like working six cameras at once and knowing how to set those shots up properly. You sound like you're invaluable. But I mean, on an indie set, like just having that experience there and being able to tell the guys, "Hey, no, wait a second, this isn't going to work, and here's why."
Yeah,
It's yeah, it sounds like you are. It would behoove people to hire you. The behoove is
I,
the good one,
I'm
right?
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Hire me. I love working on movies on different
Hire Zach,
projects.
everybody. So you've
It's
worn a lot of hats
yeah.
working in the industry since the mid 2000s. What is your favorite position to work in on a set?
Hmm. Um. For me, I love directing just because I'm able to have my hands in a lot more.
Yeah.
Being able to have the experience as an AD, as an assistant director. Like I know the scheduling, I know the budgeting, I know the rules of, is this actor SAG? Like
Hmm.
what are the safety precautions that need to be put into place? Like are we working with children? How long can we work with them? Things like that. Like safety is always paramount as an
Hmm.
assistant director. Working in the electrical department, like past two feature films, I was also the gaffer as well as the assistant director, as well as an executive producer and a co-writer with Meat and Hollow
Yeah.
Lake.
Yeah.
Um, so it's, when the other producers say, "Hey, how long is this setup going to take?" I can, ask myself who's doing the lighting, how much time they need kind of thing. Um, but it's with that knowledge, like, okay, here's what can work, and here's what we can do because it's good, cheap, and fast. Everybody wants all three, but you can't. You get two, so
Yeah.
pick the right ones. Um, and indie stuff. Yeah, I've been part of projects where they burn a lot of money just because they don't know better, and it's people want to jump into features, and I always recommend like, hey, shoot a proof of concept, shoot a short, grab your friends for a weekend and try out some of the stuff that you want to see happen and things like that. You can tell the difference between good indie films and bad ones, where I always equate it with how little children draw. When they give you the crayon drawing of the family and the son's in the corner and it's mom and dad and the siblings and it's all dead on, right?
Mhm.
There's no angles to it. And that's how like a lot of novice filmmakers will start to shoot. And then they learn the style of how to stack shots, how to frame, how can we get some movement. And there's things that, if you want an epic shot, like, okay, we have to run a crane, or, we don't have the money for a crane. How about a jib? We don't have money for a jib. Can we do this as a steady cam? Okay, we don't have money for a steady cam. Can we just do it handheld? You know? Um, and it's wild too, because there's so many different styles as well as quality to be able to depict the story you're telling nowadays, where, coming out of the 2000s, 2010s and things like that, like people were just pushing so hard, 1080, we need 4K, 8K, and
Yeah.
that's where we're at now. And now we're seeing kind of like this resurgence of flipping back to, these non-linear style, interlaced uh, video elements and things like that.
I've been on a
Um,
huge Janice.click binge lately, and holy shit. Have
yeah,
you seen any of
yeah.
his
I mean,
movies?
it's like
Yeah.
liminal horror and
Yeah.
lo-fi. Like these
Yeah.
things are actually being categorized and labeled as
Yeah.
such, because of the aesthetic that they're bringing.
Mhm.
Like the found footage genre has evolved immensely because of that.
Oh yeah.
Um, And I think it's going to continue to do so. Like we're seeing more and more of a push with verticals in terms of entertainment pushed through social media.
Hmm.
Um, I know SAG did a whole big deal with being able to get their talent in on those and get them paid and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see how it'll kind of hit America a little bit more. Like I know in Asia and all that, it's a bit more popular just because of it's just instant gratification, just keep swiping kind of
Yeah.
thing. Um, which is
There's
sad because we're losing that um, engagement from an audience to
right.
a
Yeah.
filmmaker's work. We're seeing things as more as a product, more as content versus here's a piece of art that moves, that makes sound, that resonates with you, kind of thing. But
Which is also the danger in the generative AI, because
yeah,
that is creating product. It's creating content. It's not creating art.
yeah,
So
and
yeah.
it's getting to the point where it's cannibalizing itself, and
Yeah.
I understand the draw of it. If you're a fan of a certain subgenre of say horror, for example, like
Yeah.
I love a slasher and I love a killer bug movie. Give me all the killer bug movies. Um, but they don't really make a whole hell of a lot of killer bug movies. So I could jump on the generative AI and
Mm.
da-da-da-da-da. Like I don't have to build, a maquette. I don't have to mold, giant arachnids or whatever it may be, things like that. Um, and you end up losing a lot of that artistry. I mean, even the digital artistry. Because you go back and you look at like the digital stuff they did with like Jurassic Park and like
Yeah.
how it held up. To stuff that's even nowadays. And it's just like who can do it the quickest, who can do it the cheapest. And it's like, well, where's the craftsmanship? Um, and I think that's something that's really been lost. Like I'm not anti digital effects or CGI. I think that it's a tool. It's the same, you want to have a big toolbox of being able to use this in conjunction kind of thing. You don't want
Yeah.
to just use one thing. Um, like I remember there was a big push with horror for a while where it was like no CGI, all practical effects kind of thing. And it's like, Well, that's cool, but like the way you shot it, the way you lit it, the way you
Yeah.
color graded it, your practical effects is like dog shit.
It depends on what you're using the CGI for. Because
Yeah.
you could use CGI very effectively to, set things on fire or to give people energy effects in their eyes or any of
Mhm.
that sort of thing. But if you're using it to do blood spray or blood splatter, I mean,
Yeah.
come on. I mean,
I think the only digital blood I really tend to forgive is Midnight Meat Train,
okay. Yeah.
just because it's so absurd.
It's so absurd. It's everywhere. It's oh
Yeah.
my God. You've read the story, right?
Mhm.
Okay. The story is I don't know. It was an okay movie, let's just say.
Yeah. I just love the fact that it's like, we're going to bring this to the big screen. We need
Yeah.
Vinnie Jones and Bradley Cooper.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Wild. Um, Across all of the multitudes of projects that you've worked on, you've worked in many different genres. Like you were talking about a rom-com, you were talking about Law and Order, you're talking about you've worked in any kind of genre that you can work in. What's your favorite? I know what your favorite genre to watch is, slashers and killer bugs, but what's your favorite genre to work in?
Um, I really like horror just because it does encapsulate so much. Like you can have the drama, you can have the levity to balance that out, and
Yeah.
then you have just, the fun and gags of special effects and things like that. Because it's just, fake blood, Caro syrup, and
Yeah.
rubber hosing, that type of stuff. Like it's you see everything behind the curtain. So like as a child, you're like, oh, this is terrifying. And then you
Yeah.
realize like, oh, like, you know, the Exorcist is just they're spitting out split pea soup kind of thing. It's not, they weren't really possessed. Um, I also like horror because it lends itself to stunts as well. I think that's really fun. Anytime you can do like a fight scene or something vehicular or even with pyro, that's always really cool. Um, uh, Comedy is kind of weird to work on just because it's funny the first time you hear it. And
Yeah.
then you realize like, oh, you have a 13, 14-hour day and you're hearing
Yeah.
the same jokes over and over. And then you go into the edit with these things and you're just like, oh, this joke isn't funny. It doesn't hit.
Yeah.
We have this movie's horrible. We have to do reshoots. We have to do rewrites. We have to do all this. And then you do a test screening and, the audience is howling because it's the first time they've seen it and heard it. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's right. This was funny. Um, I've never really got a chance to work on like a full-length documentary. I produced a one about a band a while back when I first moved to Cleveland, but I'd love to do like a documentary, docu-series kind of thing. That'd be fun, like some true crime kind of thing. I
Yeah.
was always a sucker for like the dramatic reenactments, unsolved mysteries, Robert Stack style.
Yeah.
Um, so, um, but yeah, like action is really cool because it's stunts, but there's so much meticulous planning and
Yeah.
hurry up and wait, and rightfully so. You never want to rush any of that stuff, just because bad things happen when you do.
Hmm.
Um, I've been lucky to not have anything happen to me, but I have seen some stunts go wrong. Like I remember working on Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So sorry, I was a part of that. I'm glad.
That's still cool. I
Uh,
mean, that's huge.
oh yeah, it
You
was
should
it
still
was
be
super
proud of
rad.
that, even though it was a dog shit movie. Like you should still be proud of
Yeah, yeah,
it.
it was. I worked on the Connecticut unit
Okay.
when they did the whole university, all that bit.
Okay.
And there was, I was in charge of the background, getting this background all through wardrobe and hair and makeup for a period piece movie. They were wearing these, wool poodle skirts and cardigans and things like that. And it's like 90 degrees out. We're shooting this in summer. These
Yeah.
poor bastards, have to wrangle them from back and forth through the university and things like that. But yeah, that whole stunt sequence of Shia LaBeouf on the motorcycle.
Yeah.
He goes to save Harrison Ford. Harrison's in the car with the Russian agents. They're fighting back and forth. Harrison jumps off out of the car onto the bike. They zoom off and then they drive through a corridor and they drive up the steps and they crash through the library and then they power slide under all these different tables. They've gotten away from the bad guys and it's like, okay, now the mission. ready to go. That's the movie.
Yeah.
But like that whole sequence took like a week and a half to shoot, sort of thing. And yeah, I saw a stuntman, he doing the motorcycle thing, and he hit the lip of a manhole cover, and ass over elbow over the front bars, stopped at like 25 miles an hour with his face popped up, looking like T2 Arnold Schwarzenegger style.
Oh my
Um,
God.
but these stunt guys were all super rad. They were all these Kiwis, these New Zealand guys,
Yeah.
and they wanted to send him away to hospital, see a physician, that kind of thing. He was like, no, 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 I'm going in the hair and makeup trailer, and so he went in there, and they just spackled his face. He came back a couple hours later, and he like from a distance he looked all right, but like you get up close, you're just like, are you half mannequin? What are we doing here?
That's funny.
So.
I see that you've worked with Roni Jonah quite often too, and I'm a big fan of hers. Can you tell me
Oh yeah,
about,
she's
yeah.
awesome. She was in a film I co-wrote and co-directed called Powerbomb.
Yeah, I was just
Um,
about to ask you about Powerbomb, the wrestling movie.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Powerbomb was a lot of fun. It was uh, a project I did with former production partner BJ Colangelo, and we were able to work with Matt Janacki from 1984 Productions. He's the guy that did the books, the alternative movie poster books, which there's a couple of those really rad artwork, things like that. Check it out.
Okay.
He's been delving into original soundtracks and things like that. Like he put out the summer school soundtrack on vinyl. He did the prom night vinyl as well, so that was really rad. Worked with some of the folks of Turnstile Films, was another Cleveland outfit of creatives, and it was rad. We were able to get a lot of different wrestlers involved. Um, we had Matt Cross, who was Son of Havoc on Lucha Underground.
Okay.
And he was in between things at the time because he had suffered an injury and had hurt his leg. It actually like uh, broke his femur, something like that. But he was
Whoa.
so muscular that his
Yeah.
muscles kept it contracted.
Oh my
Um,
God.
like he's a beast. That guy
Yeah.
is built out of bricks. Nicest guy too. I just saw him recently at a wrestling show. He's a pirate. He travels the world port to port. He'll wrestle anywhere, anyone kind of thing. I love that about him.
Yeah.
Um, and then we had some other independent wrestlers in that. Super Cop Dick Justice, um, the handicap hero Gregory Iron, who served as our stunt coordinator for that as well. Um, we had other wrestlers like Ricky Shane Page, who, if you're a fan of GCW and hardcore wrestling, like he's the man.
Hmm.
Um, and then we had some other folks. We had Britt Baker, who moved on to AEW. Her boyfriend at the time, Adam Cole, he makes a cameo. So yeah, we're surrounded with a lot of different talent. And Ronnie, she has that pedigree as well, just being a valet for the Miz back in the day. So she knew that world. And really, really brought a lot of life to the character that she was asked
Hmm.
to portray.
And that is that a horror movie or is that just
Um,
a wrestling movie?
it was written as kind of a thriller. It
Okay.
was kind of like equal parts The Wrestler meets Misery sort of
Hmm.
thing. People have compared it to the John Travolta vehicle, The Fan, um, and things like that. It was it's a very low budget effort. Like it was made for less than the cost of a new Ford Focus.
Oh wow.
Um, I mean, we shot that thing over weekends, I think in 4 to 6 weeks, something like that. It was like just trying to line up everybody's different schedules and locations and things like that. So it was a very low budget endeavor, but we really put our best foot forward with it. And we premiered it in Cleveland, and then we were able to find distribution through Indican Pictures.
Okay.
And so it was poised to do a theatrical run, small little thing, but we
Hmm.
were still super excited for that. And then that was the same week the nation shut down
Oh
due to
no.
COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
So nobody was going to movies, nobody was going anywhere.
Uh,
And so we were like, well, at least it's streaming. We can push that. People are stuck at home, we'll push that. And
yeah.
and we'll get them to watch that way. And no, 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 no. Everybody was falling in love with Joe Exotic and
Mm,
Tiger King. That was we got steamrolled by that. Um, the poster art that the distribution company went with is not my favorite. We didn't pick it, but that's, they had tested it kind of thing with, they were done a lot of like red box, which at the time was still a thing.
mhm.
That's gone the way of a dodo now. Um, it's made its way to different streaming platforms. It's on Amazon, iTunes. You can watch it on Tubi. I just found out it's on Tubi as well.
Yeah, I think it's
Um,
on Tubi in the States, so I'll just switch my VPN over and watch it. So
yeah, yeah.
it's not in Canada, but I'll watch it
Yeah,
there.
I mean
Yeah.
it's a jaunty little watch.
Yeah.
If you like, it's basically examines, the toxic fandom of
Mhm.
wrestling. Um, and we had gotten critiques of the story of like, oh, this is so ridiculous. This would never happen. And then there was like a news story that there was a fan in Florida that was like stalking a wrestler at the NXT
Nice.
compound kind of thing. So we're like, there you go.
Were you a
Um,
big fan of wrestling before you started this picture?
yeah, I mean, I was
Yeah.
grew up in, I was a Hulkamaniac,
Yeah.
until I learned better. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I remember my
I'm
dad
pretty
taking me to,
sure I'm getting the impression that we're around the same age. So yeah, I grew up with all that too.
yeah, yeah. My dad took me to what was it? The My first wrestling match was the third SummerSlam, the one with Jake the Snake. Um, Yeah, I believe it was the third one.
Okay.
And then, wrestling was super rad, it was, it's like superheroes kind of thing. Running
Yeah.
around, jumping, This is the era of He-Man and G.I. Joes and
Yep.
Thundercats and stuff like that. And you get to see these real life guys doing all this crazy stuff and these ridiculous characters, Undertaker and Ultimate Warrior and
Yeah.
whatever they could throw at the wall and see what would stick kind of thing. Um, and it's been cool to see like the evolution of it. It
Mm.
got really kind of dicey with the Attitude Era. With
Yeah.
it's cool. You had some great people like Mick Foley is my favorite wrestler. Like I
Yeah.
love Mick Foley. Like whether it be Cactus Jack, Dude Love, Mankind, whatever iteration, it's Mick Foley for me. Um, and I think like who your favorite wrestler says a lot about you as a person, kind of thing. Um, but at the time, like they weren't really that great to. Um, minorities. They weren't that great to women. Um,
No.
and they really set out to crush a lot of the competition that was providing any kind of alternative. And it wasn't, I kind of fell out of it. And it wasn't until later on when I kind of got back into it in college that I started learning more about, different federations and indies and things like that. Like, I remember when I was living in New York, I got to go see Kaiju Big Battle for the first time. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
No.
Uh, they're out of the Philly area, I want to say,
Okay.
Baltimore area, perhaps. But it's like there's the evil Dr. Cube, and he's this bloody surgeon, but he's got a giant cube head, and he makes all these like henchmen, and it's there's like space bugs and uh, Power Ranger style fighters and things like that, mixed in with just the most ridiculous characters ever. There's like uh, uh, kung fu chicken noodle soup and things like it's like a giant can
Yeah.
of chicken noodle soup, and they wrestle in the ring. And in the ring are like these little buildings made out of shoeboxes, kind of thing.
Okay.
So it
That's
looks
cool.
like they're
Yeah.
battling in there. So being able to see that live was just absolutely ridiculous and kind of reignited looking into a lot of different indie federations. And then you learn like the different styles.
Yeah.
There's with the internet, you had more access to, New Japan and, AAA Mexican wrestling and things like that. And the different characters and titles and, how one wrestler would go over to a different territory to get better and try to get heat or steam, build up their character and then come back kind of thing. Um, back in the day, like you were lucky if you were able to like tape trade to kind of find that
Yeah.
stuff. Um, if you could afford a pay-per-view kind of deal. Now, everyone's spoiled. They can just jump on YouTube and find it in seconds kind
And
of thing.
anything. Yeah. Now, do you remember those little? You reminded me of something when you were talking about that kaiju promotion. Um, do you remember those little muscle characters from Japan?
Oh yeah, the little muscle men. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
the
I
little.
always knew them as like the nude flesh color, but
Yeah,
like I guess they made other colors. Like I never
I
had
guess
any
so.
flesh,
Yeah,
but
but
yeah,
like
those were
all those crazy guys, right? That reminds me of all those crazy guys. Like you'd have one
yeah.
guy who was a star, or one guy who was a fish, or that
Mhm.
sort of thing.
Yeah. And that
Yeah,
cartoon is super weird. Like that, I don't know if it really ever took over in the States, but like there's a whole cartoon of that's what those
yeah,
figures are from. Or I think it might be the other way, like, how they made uh
yeah.
Hasbro did the whole G.I. Joe to Transformers to
I
thing.
think
So
it started in Japan. They were erasers, and that's why they were the nude color. So they started off
okay.
as pencil erasers, and then they made a cartoon out of them. They made an anime out of the eraser guys, and then they brought them over to the States.
Okay. That makes
Yeah,
sense. Yeah. 'Cause I remember like stumbling into that when like hunting for anime. Because back in the day, like if you
yeah.
wanted anime, the number one place I knew to get it were porno shops
Oh, okay.
because they would order, a gross of movies from wherever and they're coming, they're packaged and made in Taiwan, Japan,
Hmm.
whatever, and they ship them over. But to fill the gross, uh, they would just order like whatever, like hey, throw 20 copies of whatever this Ninja Scroll movie is or Akira.
Yeah.
So that's how I found like a lot of that stuff because
Oh
they
my
would just put
God.
it in the corner,
Yeah.
behind the whips and chains and dildos and things like that, and I was the goober that would go and buy it because that was like the other thing, like we all think of punk rockers with their studded belts and spikes and
Yeah.
things like that. That all came from, those sex shops like the
Yeah. Yeah.
BDSM hardcore and things like that. So,
It's
um,
so crazy to that whole subculture of things that we did when we were younger, of doing that sort of thing, like going to find VHSs in the back of a shop. None of that stuff exists any longer. It's all just
mm,
everything is blah right there.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hell, I
It,
remember running dirt bikes through, vacant lots and things like that, and you'd
yeah.
stumble across some wrinkly porno mag that somebody
Oh,
left
dude.
behind or hiding. Like,
Yeah.
what is this?
That was the weekend activity. You'd go looking in the woods for some abandoned pornography.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Just as
All
long
right.
as you were home when the street lights were on.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we better get back on track or we're going to get ourselves in trouble. So as an independent creator, do you typically use Kickstarter or Indiegogo or any of those sort of things to raise funds for your projects?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of crowdfunding because I think that it presents you to the audience you're hoping to reach.
Yeah.
Um, Even if they can't pledge, you know, whatever due to whatever financial reasons or whatever.
Yeah.
It's still rad to see when people share it or talk about it,
Yeah.
write about it, kind of thing. That always helps. But yeah, I've done crowdfunding for a couple different projects. Powerbomb was crowdfunded.
Okay.
Um, there was a previous project I was a part of called Public Access 3000, which is finally going to be released on physical media through Future Video.
Okay.
Um, and also did crowdfunding with Meat. We actually did a couple different
Yeah.
crowdfunding campaigns with Meat. And that was really tricky just because, we were asking for a lot in terms of what we needed to do to be able to deliver the vision that we wanted with that movie. Um, and it was interesting because we did the crowdfunding campaign and we raised 10% of what we asked for.
Mm.
And, we were faced with the dilemma of like, okay, what do we do? And, we sat down, I laid it all out. I was like, well, we can give everybody the money back and
Yeah.
say, thank you for your support via con Dios. Um, or we can do something with it. And I had pitched with Roger, we had worked on the Roger Connors, the director of Meat.
Yeah.
Um, I pitched him the idea of like, hey, there's this whole opening sequence to the movie that we can use this money for to shoot, have that serve as a proof of concept. At the very worst, we might be able to cut it into a short kind of thing if we can't get any more steam out of it.
Yeah.
Um, But we were able to do that, and with the story that progresses from there on, there's like a 4 year time jump in the story. So the fact that we were able to shoot that first and then do another crowdfunding campaign to kind of push it forward, we were able to utilize that footage and show people what we were able to do with the
Yeah.
little bit of resources that we were able to obtain. Um, and it's, you figure out what people connect with as well. It's a lot of people jump on crowdfunding and they're like, well, we got stickers and t-shirts and you can get this movie for on VHS. It'll cost you $85, but
Yeah.
and it's like, what are we doing here? Um, and so there's like a lot of different incentives that people try to put together. I think it's really weird when people do the one where it's like you pay to be in the movie
Yeah.
kind
I
of
was going to
thing.
ask you about pay to play next. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, it's that ranks right up there with like film festivals where, you submit your movie, you pay the fee and like
Yeah.
you get rejected. They don't even tell you why. They don't
Yeah.
give you any kind of feedback. And that's just considered normal kind of thing. And it's like, even if you are accepted, then they make money off of your movie screening, with a myriad of other movies. But,
Yeah. Absolutely.
um,
And I mean, if you're trying to make your bones in the industry and you're doing pay to play as an actor or an actress, um, and you become known for somebody who pays to be in people's projects, who is ever going to pay you, or who is ever going to pay you? Do you know what I
mhm,
mean? If you become known as somebody who will pay to be there, why would they ever make the jump and pay you to be there?
yeah. And
And
it's
maybe I'll
tricky.
take
Like
that out. I'm not sure, but because I don't
yeah,
want to rub people the wrong way. But I mean,
absolutely.
uh
My
it's a
heart
cool
goes out
business.
to actors
Yeah,
because they're battling with AI, with their likenesses being
yeah,
taken if they sign it away kind of thing
yeah,
and perpetuity. And it's wild because they ask you to self-tape and things like that. Um, but I feel like there's a lot more resources to be able to do that than like the big studio cattle calls of yesteryear sort of
hmm
thing. You have like a lot of 48-hour film projects and things like that. Like I've seen actor reels, which is just 48 hours just all throughout kind of thing.
yeah,
And that's a great way to get them to start. I'd recommend to anybody that's looking to get their foot in the door in terms of being in front of the camera, like go to your local college, community college. Like there's a film program there, and I guarantee you there's some students that want to shoot what they
yeah,
consider their big, Francis Ford Coppola, Steven Spielberg, David Fincher style opus short film,
yeah,
and they need talent. Will it ever see the light of day?
yeah,
Who knows? But they're if they're worth a shit, they'll be able to give you a credit and the footage that you can put
yeah.
together to a reel.
And they may not, and they're not going to pay you, but you're not going to have to pay them $150 to be on set.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Um, in addition to making movies and doing that crowdfunding, do you also attend many genre conventions or film festivals?
I tried to. There was a big one in the Cleveland area that actually wrapped up. It's
Yeah.
after 25 years, Cinema Wasteland is
Oh,
done.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a favorite. I actually had a lot of short films when I first moved back to Cleveland
Mhm.
that played at that festival. Their short film block was always super fun, always got real rowdy. The crowd was absolutely the type of people that you wanted to play
Yeah.
to see if you were worth your salt because it was like Thunderdome kind of thing. Um, if you were like, this is going to be scary, like they'll let you know if it's scary or not,
Yeah.
kind of thing. If this is funny, it'll let you know if it's funny or not. But it really was a fun uh, convention film festival kind of thing because it celebrated a lot of the drive-in era, the video store era kind of
hmm
thing, like sci-fi independent films. Like you had a lot of filmmakers from Chicago, Indiana, Pittsburgh, New York, Florida, they all kind of congregated there to push their wares. And that's where I found like a lot of really cool filmmakers. That's where I met Dustin Mills and
hmm
found his films and found a lot of different other filmmakers and things like that. because it's all about trying to like network and connect. Because it's so easy to put yourself out there, but to market yourself without the time and the money and the resources to constantly do it. Bringing it back to kind of like the crowdfunding is like a job in itself to be able
Yeah.
to like push that out, try to drive people there, pump up the traffic. Um, it just, sometimes it feels like the juice isn't worth the squeeze, but it's a necessity. Yeah, I love conventions. When I was in New York, I went to the last Fangoria convention that they ever did. That was when they had a panel for Trick or Treat,
Okay.
the one
Yeah.
with Dylan Baker,
Yeah.
which was really odd because I ended up working with Dylan Baker on a movie called Diminished Capacity. It was him, Alan Alda, Matthew Broderick, Virginia Madsen, um, Louis C.K., before his whole naughtiness. Um,
I
Bobby
like the way you put
Carnival.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a fun movie. That was
Yeah.
like kind of a heartfelt comedy sort of
Mm.
thing. And like I have stories of that. Like I fell off a porch in front of Matthew Broderick. Yeah. Like a railing gave way and I fell ass over elbow like 8 feet down. And he just like reached out, like trying to grab me, but couldn't. And it was the no face from Ferris Bueller. No. So
Yeah, that's funny. Um, do you cosplay too or not?
no, I don't really cosplay. I like making like I've done props and masks for other
Yeah.
people, like friends, like as never like selling it on a website or anything like that. But there was actually just a big cosplay comic convention, Colossal Con,
Hmm.
um that happened in Ohio, and like my nephews go to that like every year. They love that. They cosplay. My one nephew has 3D printer, so he'll do
Oh,
like the,
cool.
the Loki helmet, the
Yeah.
Magneto helmet, and just go all out. And I'm just like, I never had this stuff as a kid. I would have to
Yeah.
make that out of duct tape and cardboard if I wanted
Yeah.
it.
You've never done a Philip K. Decker for yourself?
No, no,
No?
I did see one that was really dope when I went to the Houston Horror Film Festival and convention that they did there. That's run by Troy, the director of Hollow Lake.
Yeah.
That was the first festival that Meat had played at, and there was a guy walking around and he was cosplaying as Decker, and I was just
Yeah.
like jaw dropped. It was just
Yeah.
kind of starstruck sort of thing. So it's cool. Like I love cosplay, especially when people pull out deep cuts and do different characters and things like that. Like this past one, it was weird. I lost count of how many Art the Clowns I ended up seeing.
Yeah.
Um, the oddest one was there was a kid, he couldn't have been more than 6, 7 years old kind of thing,
Hmm.
and he was cosplaying as the creature from Jeepers Creepers.
Okay.
And
That's
it was
interesting.
really well done. Like he
Hmm.
had like the pressed a button and the wings came up, and he
Oh,
had the
that's
hat,
cool.
the trench
Yeah.
coat, and all that. But then I'm just like, oh my dude, like did
Yeah.
your parents not know about Victor Salva? Like, what are
Yeah.
we doing
Victor
here?
would have liked you a whole lot, kid.
You're right.
Okay. So talking about Troy, segue into Meat and Hollow Lake. Because you, Zach, have been the co-writer, assistant director, executive producer, and a bunch of other things on two festival circuit movies that I recently had the privilege to watch. And
Oh, awesome.
I just so happen to love both of them. I've reviewed both of them very well. Um, I'm doing for Pride this year. I'm doing last year I did a Pride review, two Pride reviews a week, like two queer coded horror movies a week.
Mhm.
This year that's too much. So I'm just doing them on Saturdays because I'm doing too
Okay.
many other things right now. But this weekend I'm doing Meat. A couple of weeks I'm doing Hollow Lake, and I'm doing Ginger Snaps and Nightmare on Elm Street 2 as well.
Okay.
But
Are you looking for like just queer horror or just queer cinema in general?
queer coded horror. So like
Oh,
last
okay.
year I did The Lost Boys and I did May and I did I did Hellbent too, which is an actual
Yeah,
queer
love Hellboy.
slasher.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I did a whole lot last year. But this year I want to make them special. So Like I said, I really loved Meat and I really loved Hollow Lake, and I'm going to splice in bits of the interviews that I did with Roger and that I'm doing with Troy next week to make them extra special so that we can hear so we can hear the guys that directed the movie talk about them a bit. Maybe I'll splice a little bit of what we talk about in here in the next little bit too.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, it'd be lots of
Yeah,
fun.
if you're looking for more queer coded horror,
Yeah.
Bruce LaBruce, who did Auto or Up with Dead People. That's the full
Okay.
title. He also did LA Zombie.
Oh, okay.
Um, and those are both they're very artsy, kind of low budget, really weird headspace kind of movies.
Hmm.
Um, imagine like Greg Rocky if he just did too many whippets in a Spirit
Okay.
Halloween
Yeah.
kind of thing. Would love Greg Rocky.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for like other just queer coded movies, I'd say Girls Will Be Girls is a favorite.
Okay.
Bear City, and it has a sequel as well. Um, Paris is Burning is like one of my favorite documentaries of all time, kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and
Okay.
Paris is Burning is great because there's the shot of I forget her name, but she's a mother within the scene, and they're under
Oh
her
shit.
apartment,
Yeah, I know who you're
and there's
talking
the
about too.
trunk.
I can't remember the name either. Crap.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
inside the trunk is the
Yeah.
body of this missing guy that
Yeah.
had been in her life previously.
Yeah.
And like the people interviewing her had like no clue, but it was later discovered by the police. Like I love that little
Yeah.
bit.
Those movies, yeah, we said were Hollow Lake and Meat. I know that much of the cast and crew were shared between the two movies. How did you meet up with
Yeah.
Roger and Troy?
I had met Roger at a film networking event that the Cleveland Film Commission had put
Hmm.
together. I had known of him online, like we were social media friends kind of thing.
Yeah.
He had done a movie that never got released called Raw Focus, and that was when I was in a partnership with some other creatives. It was a production company called Studio Mars. And we did like some music videos and short films and things like that. And that's kind of where he came into my orbit. We met at the mixer and we started talking about slasher films and geeking out. Like I he knew all my deep cut references. I knew all of his. And he was like, I have this script I've been working on for a really long time. I just feel like it's really bloated, like it needs a little bit more action, but I really love the characters. And when he sent it my way, and I was like, yeah, there's definitely something here. I agree with you. I think it can be a bit more streamlined. I think it can be tightened up and put into fighting weight kind of thing. Um, and so we were able to write that out, plan accordingly to, what resources we were able to get and have, and like, okay, what are we going to spend for to be able to do this kind of thing in terms of like effect sequences or locations. And it was this huge ensemble. Meet is just so many people in it.
It's a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. Which was fun when I met Troy through Roger's podcast that he does, Dark Knight
Right.
of the podcast.
Hmm.
And Troy, I had known Troy's work from, teacher shortage and, it's Mrs. Claus and things like
Yep.
that. And he was like, I have this other script, Howl Lake. I feel like it needs some punching up. Yeah, Mrs. Claus.
It's
Yeah.
right there.
Um,
It was right beside me.
there you go. Uh, and he was like, I heard really great things with Roger, the things that he shared, like really enjoy what you guys were able to do. I don't have that big of an ensemble, that big of a story. I don't need that big of a crew. So it was like kind of the flip side of like this Meat was this very Wes Craven Scream-esque ensemble thing with so many people and
Yeah.
you know victims and things like that. And then Hollow Lake was so tight and small. There's, seven actors in the whole thing.
Hmm.
So it was being able to write for those different situations, and still stay true to the director's visions and their voice and things like that. It was a lot of fun being able to do those different challenges and see like, okay, what did we do here that worked? What did we do here that doesn't work? How can we translate it back and forth? So yeah, Hollow Lake was a lot smaller of a crew. We kept the cinematographer Mick Kuntz, who was
Hmm.
also the editor, and then Chad Critelli served as sound with Moses, and we had Ron George come in and do some effects. Derek Worley did some effects as well. But yeah, with Hollow Lake, like in terms of wardrobe, like Roger handled that. Like
Yeah.
also in the cast, that even with me, like he's in the cast. So when he's on camera, I'll, kind of step in and help out there and plan a lot of that stuff out. Um, so it was different challenges between the two.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Something that I loved about both of them, I love the atmosphere of both movies. And they were very different atmospheres. Hollow Lake is very dark and very moonlit. It's it's very dark and ominous. And Meat's ominous too, but it's ominous in a very different way, in a very flashy,
Mhm.
bright, colorful way.
Yeah.
And I loved just they feel like opposite ends of the same spectrum. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and that was done by design as well. With Roger and Meat, he
Hmm.
wanted to live in and explore and expand this gay nightlife world, this
Hmm.
neon soaked uh, journey that Noah, the main character, goes on. Um, and so we definitely tried to design that of like, okay, what colors best suit each location? How does this light uh, react with the different cast members? Because with
Yeah.
that, it's a multi-ethnic
Yeah.
cast. So
Yeah.
lighting, you know, uh, uh, darker skin for more pale skin and things like that.
Hmm.
Especially when they're in the same scene kind of thing. Um, and that can be tricky for people that haven't had a time to sit down and plan and sort that out. Like you want to be
Hmm.
able to go into filming with a plan and plot things out because that's how we were able to make our days. We were shooting like 12, 13 page days sometimes. And
Hmm.
it was just like, okay, we're going to go in. This is our lighting point. Here's our camera positions. This is where we're going to put background, things like that. So we had it all plotted out. So we were able to get in and get out. Because a lot of times, we're shooting in bars that had to turn around and open up for the day kind of thing. Shooting in residential locations where, hey, I'm home from work. You guys got to go
Yeah.
kind of thing. Um, so that was a really fun thing of playing with meat, of playing with color, like really just
Yeah.
painting it and having that. I'm a big fan of that from Argento and Suspiria all the way to uh, the movie Belly with Hype Williams. Like if you watch those two movies, you can see like,
Hmm.
oh, they're the same thing, like
Oh
Italian
wow.
giallo and you know late 90s hip hop. Like
Yeah.
it's the same thing kind of thing. Um, so that was a big inspiration. The look of certain things like Blood and Black Lace, uh, and other films like that. With Howl Lake, it was like, okay, what can we play with? We're at this residence, and then outside of it, it's just nature. So what can we pull from in terms of lighting sources, things like that? We're like, well, we can fake moonlight. Oh, we can bounce that off of this water source and get it like this.
Yeah.
Like I remember lighting that. We used one scene where it's Anthony Dane and Roger, and
Yeah.
they're in between these two rocking chairs,
Yeah.
and we had stacked the shot, and it's going back and forth. And Mick does this great job of rack focusing between the two, and we're able to play it as a oneer. But one of the fun things we did was, we're trying to figure out how to light it, and we came up with the idea that, like, okay, Anthony, take off your shirt. We're going to oil up your chest with baby oil because it looks like you just came out of this hot tub from a
Yeah.
previous scene
Yeah.
and it was wet. And then we just shined a light at his chest and it was able to bounce off his
Oh
chest
my God.
onto
See,
Roger.
folks,
Um,
this is what Zach brings to the party. Hire him for your
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have a full grip and electric, truck,
Yeah.
or even a van, this is all in like Mick's personal car that he's driving around in. Um, using these battery operated lights that we get from like Home Depot or
Yeah.
Amazon. So I'm always a big proponent, like it's not necessarily, you don't need the biggest, fastest, strongest gear to do what you want to do. You just need to know how to use it. Now, granted, some of the better, more expensive stuff will last longer, is more durable, what have you, but you know, working with what you got.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask you which one was your favorite to work on because that's just going to make somebody upset. So, um, I am going to ask you some of the same questions for both movies, though. So we'll keep it fair and nobody gets jealous. Okay?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, with meat, it was a prolonged shoot. Like we did
Yeah.
the very first of it, and then we shot over weekends through a couple different months. Like we were shooting in summer, and then we're shooting in winter.
Yeah.
And we were able to cheat that in the edit to make it work. But with Hollow Lake, we were scheduled for a 13-day shoot, and then I was able to get us done in 12.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So for meat, so you were involved from the beginning. I know that Roger said that he's had this cooking for years,
Mhm.
but you were involved from the very beginning of when it actually became a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not just an idea. Okay. Um, so I'm not gonna we've talked a little bit about meat before, so I'm not gonna get you to go into the background on that one. What sort of challenges did you run into as a producer?
Um, you know, with Roger, he's very particular in his
Yeah,
taste. Like he wants what he wants and he wants it now.
yeah,
Um, and a good producer will, in my opinion, a good producer is great at saying no in ways that aren't no.
okay,
And you always want to balance it against itself. Like, okay, you can do this
yeah,
and we can rob Peter to pay Paul. Like you can shoot longer and get more takes because you really love this performance out of this actress and you want multiple takes kind of thing that we have to reset for and do all this other stuff. But that means tomorrow's call is getting pushed and you're going to have less time to shoot that. Certain locations and things like that. Like with meat, there's this whole sequence in a mansion.
yeah,
And it was specific that we had to have a pool, an indoor pool kind of thing,
yeah,
and that was a big challenge to find one, especially one that would let us shoot there within the kind of budget that we were looking for. And it was something that, I proposed, some rewrites like, hey, what if we change it to a different location that we can have better control over? We don't have to travel so far for. And it's like, well, that doesn't really serve the story as well as what this would do. So you always want to be in service of the final products.
hmm
You never want to delineate in a way just because ego gets in the way or anything like that. The only time, like in my opinion, a producer should really put their foot down is when safety is called into question. That's always paramount. Um, I think that especially, you want to look out for people that don't know better, when you're working with, kids or animals, the
yeah,
elderly, people that are just excited you're making a movie, like they don't know any better kind of thing.
yeah,
Um, I've been on stuff where, I remember I was shooting a movie called Liberty Kid, and we had background. This guy they hired him because he was a cop, and he showed up in his uniform. That was why they hired him because they didn't
yeah.
have to get him a costume kind of thing. But he brought his gun with him. And I was
Oh my
like,
God.
no, 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 no. Like, I know you're a cop and you're off duty and all that, but like,
Yeah,
no, there's no need for a firearm on
yeah.
set. Like, put that in your lockbox. Like, out of here. Um, so I think the challenges with meat was one, being able to service this world of creating what Roger had in mind, this vibrant looking nightlife scene, and creating it within the spaces that we had. And doing so in a timely manner because we had a lot of extras and things like that. A lot of
Yeah.
people involved. Very grateful for that. There's a lot of people that donated their time and efforts and things like that. And you want to be able to serve that. You want, all these people show up and they do, and they're really excited. They're tagging their friends on Facebook and Instagram, sharing this, all the different stuff that we're sharing along. And when they finally watch it, you don't want to sit back and be like, what was this? This sucked. It's out of
Hmm.
focus. It's not lit. It's, I could have done better with an iPhone.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean that's kind of the challenge of things like that. Especially with that ensemble, it's the story of being able to like jump back and forth of how you want that to look in the edit. And um, my style is very different. Like I come from the film world as well as the TV world. Um, Whereas, some other people, like they're coming from like music videos or commercial, and those are always very different styles. So it's you know, like I said, it's many different styles of kung fu, but it's like the first couple
Yeah.
of rounds of Mortal Kombat. Like nobody knows what button does what kind of thing quite yet.
Yeah. Do you have any fun behind the scenes stories from the making of Meat?
Oh, geez. Yeah, Meat was there was a lot of really goofy stuff. There was I think some of my favorite was when we were shooting at Flex, which is the 24-hour gay spa.
The
It's the
bathhouse, yeah. Yeah.
it's the largest one west of the Mississippi kind of thing. It's this
Okay.
old Greyhound bus station
Oh,
depot that
wow.
got converted. It's massive in there. Like shooting in there like within a week, like I knew all the stairwells, all the exits and things like that. Um, and while we're shooting in there, it's still completely open and
Yeah.
operational. So there's, people coming and going, and we're like, we're not really stopping them. We're letting them know, like, hey, we're shooting a film. If you don't want to be in it, like,
Yeah.
step this way, or if you don't mind holding, or things like that. Just basic courtesy stuff.
Yeah.
We're really grateful to those guys, like Rocky and the rest of the staff at Flex were phenomenal. But yeah, there's these middle-aged older guys just walking around, bath towels, no bath towels. No matter what time of day we're shooting there, it could be 8 a.m., it could be 3 a.m., it could be 12 noon. Um, they're looking for some action. So they're
Yeah.
like, what kind of movie you shooting? Like, not the kind you want to be in, brother.
All right.
But yeah,
Let
there were
Yes.
some really cool people. Like working with Pandora Box was really fun. They were just a total professional. They were just a
Yeah.
hoot. Um, a lot of the kills were super fun. Anytime you
Yeah.
get to do like effects gags and things like that, and especially when it plays off for camera, like like when it hits, when it goes right and you capture what you're aiming for, that's
Yeah.
always a big thing.
I was telling
Um,
Roger that you guys had one of the most realistic looking large intestines I've ever seen in that
oh
film.
yeah,
So, yeah.
that sequence in the bathhouse was shot when I think like half, maybe three-quarters of the crew had gotten sick. That was I specifically remember like I had 102 fever
Oh my
shooting that.
God.
And it was like, you know, 2 a.m. kind of thing. And I'm just like, when can we go home? Like, okay, we're going again. Reset the blood. Um, but Roger, like the cool thing about it, like he had all these different designs and ideas of how he wanted his characters to look.
Yeah.
And in terms of like a really fun thing was the stud, the
Yeah.
villain,
Yeah.
and his look and how that evolved because we had started doing these photo shoots where we were testing lighting. Like, how does letting a character dressed in all black in the shadows, like how are we going to do this to make it look right, look scary and menacing, but still be able to distinguish what the
Hmm.
hell it is? Um, so we did a lot of different experiments with that, with these promo shoots and stills, and we're able to put together these promotional materials, but we utilized with our crowdfunding campaign. So it was kind of one hand washing the other sort of thing. And then from that, when we got to set, we were able to like, hey, you remember when we did that thing back then? Let's do that here, but add this. We're like, oh, okay,
Hmm.
cool. And then we were able to jump back and forth. That was really fun. Like working with Mick, we are able to just kind of look at each other when they're doing rehearsals. I'd be like, and he'd be like, you
So let's talk a little bit about Hollow Lake then. So for the folks that don't know, Hollow Lake is it's a slasher film and it's kind of a home invasion type slasher film.
yeah.
And I don't want to give too much away about it, but it's basically about a married couple who need a little spice in their life. So they go off to enjoy a cabin in the wilderness.
Hmm.
And they find a little bit more than they were hoping for in the form of a home invasion. And they have a couple friends over, and you know how home invasion movies go. So that's
Yeah.
the gist of that one, without going into any spoilers or anything like that. So Were you involved from the beginning of this one? Like from the very beginning? Did it was just Troy's idea and then he came to you to flesh it out or?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Troy had a script. It had a lot of different elements that were very challenging for an indie budget to do. There
Hmm.
was there was some pyro stuff in there
Yeah.
that he wanted. And we kind of had to change that around a little bit. Augmented some of the kills and the action because it's a very different story. It's very much a drama, this kind of day in the life
Yeah.
expedition into this queer couple's marital problems.
Hmm.
And then it devolves into just this batshit insanity
Yeah.
that
Chaos.
just
Total
really
chaos.
ratchets it up
Yeah.
towards the end. Um, and it's it was definitely a challenge because it's not that big of a cast. So in terms of like what do we cut to next? Like what else is going? Like
Hmm.
the classic when you're writing something, meanwhile back at the ranch
Yeah.
kind of thing. Um, we we didn't have a lot of those safety nets that we had with meat of like, oh, well, we can cut away to this character or things
Hmm.
like that. So we really had to zero in on what we were trying to say and be able to crystallize that. Um, and Troy was really open to a lot of the different ideas and things that we wanted to bring to it. I loved working with both him and Roger. They were
Hmm.
amazing to work with. I'm really grateful that they were able to uh, pull this off, and I was able to help them. It was
Yeah.
really a lot of fun. And two very different experiences, but um, those two are peanut butter and jelly. Like I remember we were sitting on Hollow Lake. We had some downtime after a full day of shooting, and we're staying in the cabin that we're shooting in, and
Yeah.
there were everyone's sitting down on the couch, a couple beers, and just want to relax and watch something stupid. They turn
Yeah.
on the TV, and a majority of the people had never seen The Prowler,
Oh,
which is
really? Yeah.
one of Roger's favorite movies.
Yeah.
Troy's a fan as well. And so I got to sit in the middle of Roger and Troy, and I basically had Dark Knight of the Podcast live in my ears while the Prowler. They were able to do like a running commentary on the Prowler. Um, so yeah, those guys really played super well off each other. Like it
Yeah.
was really interesting to see Roger, especially kind of pivot between being the director on Meat to being an actor in Hollow Lake. And being able to bring us along because he recommended Mick and Chad
Yeah.
and myself and we also moved on to another project together like Rogers in this project called Gatling that's currently in the edit in post-production that Mick shot and is editing as well. It's a mixed martial arts drama. It's like
Okay.
Rocky with MMA kind of thing. A
Is
bit
Roger the
more.
fighter?
No. He has like
I
a
can't
small
see
bit
Roger
part,
as a
but he'd be
fighter.
great, right?
Yeah.
Little slap fight kind of thing.
It'd be interesting, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
that's Matt Cain
mhm.
stars in that. He wrote it
Okay.
and directed it. He plays Vinny in
Yeah.
Meat. So
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like a lot of, full circle kind of thing in
And
terms of features.
that's the best way. That's so good that you guys all work together so well, and then that's going to lead to more stuff. That's
Yeah,
good for
hopefully.
us too.
Yeah, that's the plan
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, that's the plan. So, you gave me a funny story about the about behind the scenes at Hollow Lake, with listening to Dark Knight of the podcast between the two guys. Um, I got to watch Hollow Lake with Troy and Roger and Roger's partner in Toronto when they came down, and it was
Oh,
love
nice.
like it
Okay.
was such a great experience to sit there next to Troy while we watched the world premiere of his movie, and it was just it was a really great experience. I thought it was amazing. I unfortunately I wasn't able to stay for meet because I had to get back home. But I did see a screener of it afterwards, and I've reviewed it and everything. But yeah, it was just a nice, very nice experience. And Roger definitely stole the show in Hollow Lake as well.
Yeah. He's a talent. He's definitely a ham in front of the camera, but like the best kind of ham, like that
Yeah.
expensive Spanish ham that you need the special knife for, kind of thing.
All right. So before we get into the lightning round, Do you have any upcoming projects other than these two that you would like to talk about?
Well, Gatling is in
Yep.
post-production, so it's been roughly a year since we shot that.
Okay.
So that is finishing up. Mick is has been working on the edit of another movie that he shot called The Contract, which is really great. It's another queer-coded horror movie. Really, really weird. Some S&M
Okay.
stuff for
Interesting.
especially different body types and things like that. Really interesting. Um, uh, so that's a project that I have going on. I just had a anthology come out that I was a part of. There was a segment directed by Victor Bonacore, who did he did Thrust.
Hmm.
The Ronnie is in Thrust as well. Ellie Church, uh, a couple different wrestlers, things like that. It's this like post-apocalyptic girl gang kind of movie. Linnea Quigley is in it as
Okay.
well. It's a lot of fun. It got put
Yeah.
out by Visual Vengeance,
Hmm.
I believe is the company. Yeah, Visual Vengeance. Um, and then he also did the documentary about Jim Van Bever, the Diary of a Deadbeat, which was
Okay.
if you got the Arrow version of Deadbeat at Dawn. The documentary is part of the supplemental features. So we did. He tapped me to DP his segment for this um, uh, Amityville Aliens anthology. Um, so it was went down to Yellow Springs, Ohio, where he's at Dave Chappelle territory. That's where he has his comedy shop
Yeah.
and lives. And we shot some ridiculousness there. It was a lot of goofy fun. Like love Vic, love his projects and things like that. He's the champion of low budget stuff. He actually just started a film festival, the Ohio Underground Film Festival
Yeah.
in Yellow Springs. So this was his inaugural year, his first one. So I got a short that I had done um, by reason of insanity that played there. It was like the first festival that ever played. So and then yeah, the other projects going on right now. Like I helped produce this movie called Harvest Brood by Joe Meredith. You can find it on YouTube. He released it there. It's
Okay.
been making the rounds when anybody starts talking about analog horror because he shot it VHS. He does this really fun style of filmmaking with kind of like 16-bit animated graphics,
Hmm.
these mutated monsters that morph and change and transform and mutate and sloppy and goopy, and it's a lot of fun. It's definitely worth a watch. It's a
Yeah.
quick watch too. It's like
That sounds
it's like
right up
an
my alley
hour,
too.
I think.
Yeah.
So, and then Public Access 3000 is coming out. That's this segmented story. It's a comedy variety anthology style
Okay.
project, I guess. It's from this group of friends that called themselves Aldous Mustache, and they would write these different skits and things like that. So we uh, different people involved directed different segments, and then they combined it all together, and it's um it's super weird. Like if you're a fan of the Paul Verhoeven commercials and RoboCop and just
Yeah.
wanted full movie of that stuff, that's pretty
Okay.
much what it is.
Excellent. Okay, before we get to the lightning round, I gotta talk to you about Nightbreed.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll always talk
So,
about
yeah, let's talk about
it.
Nightbreed. So, what is your favorite thing about Nightbreed? I mean,
Ooh, see, me personally, I love that we finally got the cut that we were told never existed.
yeah,
I remember like, there's all hour plus footage, it's lost somewhere, and
yeah,
they found it in a locker, in somebody's garage kind of thing. Um, and then you had the theatrical cut, you had the director's cut,
yeah,
then there was the Cabal cut, and
yeah,
then there was the extended Cabal cut. Um, and the extended Cabal cut is just ridiculous because it's literally everything. There's not a whole lot of minutia in terms of narrative, but it's fun to look at. Like I love all the matte paintings they did and
yeah.
the stop motion animation and things like that. Um, I find myself torn between which cut I prefer between the theatrical and the director's cut. Um, and Bobby singing Johnny Get Angry and all that, I
Yeah.
thought was great. There's a lot of different additions and things like that. I think the ending being different with the theatrical with Decker kind of
Right.
being the baddie versus the director's cut with the priest being the baddie and
Right.
Decker being kind of subservient to that.
Hmm.
Um, I think with the director's cut, it plays up a lot of, the homegrown good old boys are the problem kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is really weird translated to Calgary, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I
Um,
love I love our greasy Canadian X-Men. That's for sure.
yeah, right. Like, I'm still hoping that they do the Nightbreed TV show that's
They
been
were
kicking around
It's been kicking
forever.
around for decades. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. I
Because
wish they
there's
would.
so many different ways you could go with it. You could do a legacy, sequel. You could
Yeah.
absolutely bring back Craig Schaefer. Like he would show up.
Yeah.
What's he doing? Washing cars, you know? Um, and I think that would be kind of dope to
Yeah.
see, the progression of that. Like I would love to see a prequel, the whole thing where with Babette's vision that she shows Lori of, the Crusades,
Yeah.
especially. Like I would love to see a prequel of that. Um,
Or a prequel through time, like and have like little arcs within the series or within the season. Like maybe two episodes take place in the Crusades and two episodes take place in and going through up into the 80s or up into now.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I would also propose that I would love to see a uh, multi-world kind of thing. Like they're the tribes of the moon. So there's
Yeah.
there's tribes. So like I would
Hmm.
love like if they're in Calgary and that's the
Yeah.
breed there, like I would love to see like let's go to Turkey and
Yeah.
see what those guys look like there. Like Egypt, Japan, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like these different societies that live in these different places, like the catacombs under Paris. Like
Yeah.
that it just screams to be done with Nightbreed.
Absolutely. Did you ever play it's a long shot here. There was a Palladium role-playing game, pen and paper role-playing game in the 90s called Rifts.
I remember hearing, I never played it, but I remember hearing about that because
They
that was like right around the same time as the Nightmare game, the one that had the VHS tape with the
Yeah. This one
um
was pen and paper, so it was all book-based and all that, but they had a Nightbreed type expansion.
really.
And I can't remember what it was called, and I'm kicking myself for that because I should remember. But you got to choose your mutations and you got to choose your limitations, and like if you couldn't go out in the sun or you couldn't touch iron or anything like that. And you could masquerade as normal, as a normal looking passing human most of the time. Some of these people had the power, and then when the moon would come out, they'd change, and yeah, it was
Mhm.
really cool. But I mean, there was so much Nightbreed stuff in the
Yeah.
90s that
Yeah,
was
I know they did that weird video game for like the Commodore or ColecoVision or
yeah.
something like
I
that.
never
Yeah.
played that.
Yeah. But like I would love to see it nowadays, especially with, we've kind of progressed into this post Ryan Murphy world.
Yeah,
And that's what Clive Barker always felt. He felt like Ryan Murphy before Ryan Murphy sort of thing.
yeah,
So like I would love to see like a lot of the sexual politics and
yeah.
gender identity played through these different characters,
From a
like
director and writer who doesn't fumble the bag at the end every
yeah,
single fucking time.
yeah, and it would be able to
Yeah,
like flip it on its head in so many fun ways. Like I would
yeah,
love to see Peliquin meet someone that says they're non-binary kind of thing.
yeah.
Like you're meat. You know what I mean?
And Decker is the most iconic horror villain of all time. If you were to ask
Oh,
me, yeah,
it's great.
yeah.
I'm still back and forth with like the original idea of like the mask talking to him. Um,
Hmm.
I still because that removes some of his agency, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
And yeah,
Um,
the whole thing is that he wants to become a monster. It's not the mask wants to become a monster. He
yeah.
wants to be a Nightbreed.
Mhm. But that opening sequence when he slaughters that family,
Oh boy. Yeah.
I think that is probably one of the best opening sequences outside of, I'd say, Wes Craven's Scream with Drew Barrymore. Like those
Hmm.
two are Like I can't think of one that just like punches you in the face as hard as those two do.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. You ready for the lightning round?
Sure.
Okay.
How's this play out?
Now, this plays out where I ask you a series of questions and rapid fire answers. First thing that comes into your head.
Okay.
It's usually a lot of fun. Don't get stressed about it. Okay. All right. So, Marvel, DC, or other?
Ooh, I want to say Marvel just because like I grew up with like Daredevil
Hmm.
when in like the late 70s, like my grandfather would give me comic books of that, like when they would call dope pushers.
Yeah.
Um, but I would have to say in my heart of hearts, I have to say other. Like I'm
Okay.
a big fan of the Vertigo line, like when they were doing 100 Bullets, Scalped,
Yeah.
um The Exterminators was a great, like I would love that to be an HBO show. Um,
We can call that
there's
DC though. That's DC.
yeah, that's close enough. It's I wish DC would branch off into their Vertigo
Yeah.
uh, line because they did do that one movie, The Losers,
Yeah.
and that deviated so far from the comic. Like
Yeah.
when they announced that, I was like, dude, The Losers is a great comic. You know, they're
Yeah.
the different military specialists, and they're it's basically a spin on the A team kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then,
But they played
of
it
course,
super safe. Yeah.
yeah, it just made it really comic booky, like
Mhm.
in the vein of like Smoke and Aces kind of thing,
Yeah.
um, and just took all the fun out of it. So like I would love to see that done properly. Like I had tried adapting a comic book, Wet Moon, that was done by Sophia Campbell. She recently did the run of art for New Gem and the Holograms comic book.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Um, amazing work. So I had originally wanted to adapt a story they had done called The Abandoned, and it was about this girl in Florida works at a like a retirement home as a elder caregiver, and there's this hurricane that comes and basically turns anybody over I think it's 21 into a zombie. So it's
Oh,
like
okay.
her and her girlfriend and like the girlfriend's brother, like they have to survive and try to get out of it. It's really interesting, but they didn't have the rights to get it published. They gave up
Mhm.
the rights. But like Wet Moon, like I would chop off a finger to adapt Wet Moon. It's basically like True Blood, but like not as in your face, more Twin Peakish.
Okay.
Um, very Southern Gothic would be really fun. Like it's about this girl, freshman in college, as she's trying to navigate her identity post high school. You know, who
Mhm.
she is as a person, who she is as a friend to the people she still kind of hangs out with. But her navigating her relationships, between friendships and lovers and things like that, and then just like all this other weird stuff starts going on. So yeah, those other.
Okay. Other. Favorite video game?
Codename Viper
Codename
for
Viper. Okay.
NES.
For
Yeah,
the
I
NES.
would love to adapt that into a movie.
You know who
Um,
else loves that? Jeff O'Brien, my co-host from Bottom of the Barrel. And it's where he
dude,
learned about the Chinese hopping vampires.
oh really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's such a weird
Do you
subgenre
know
for.
Jeff?
I don't think I do.
No, okay. All right.
But yeah, the other games like I loved, like Codename Viper was my all-time fave.
Yeah.
Like I loved Fester's Quest. I could never beat it though. Um,
Same here. I got it for Christmas, and yes, it was a dog shit game, but I sure
it was
did play it
fun.
anyway. I loved
Yeah.
it.
Um, like I would love to turn Bionic Commando into a
Oh,
movie.
dude. Yeah.
That would be dope.
I can still
Um,
beat Bionic Commando.
yeah. The other one that would be a lot of fun as a movie would be Wrath of the Black Manta.
Yeah.
Like that was like a ninja saving kids kidnapped by,
Yeah.
the dope pusher that wants to get them addicted, and it'd be wild. So much fun. We need more ninja movies, basically.
Yeah, definitely. Favorite Universal monster?
I would have to say Creature from the Black Lagoon. Like I
Okay.
love the Gill Man. I think
Yeah.
that um it's the one that like really stuck out.
Yeah.
I remember I'm trying to remember the name of the books, but like when I was a kid, they were the covers, they were hardbound covers that were like orange and black and white, and then like
Mm.
inside the book were like all black and white photos, and they did like all the Universal monsters. And the first one I ever read was the Creature from the Black
Yeah.
Lagoon one, but they did like King Kong and Dracula, the Mummy, and all that, and it was
Yeah.
all kind of like insights of how they did the makeup, how they made it, and
Oh, cool.
the mythology of the monsters and things like
Mm.
that, and yeah, those were like those books that were always checked out at the library,
Adult beverage of choice.
Ooh, I don't really drink as much as I used to. I was always a whiskey guy.
Okay,
Loved a
whiskey.
bourbon.
Yeah.
Um, I would say probably, growing up, my dad was a PBR Miller Lite guy.
Yeah.
Um, being a poor steel town kid, like uh, 40s of malt liquor, like Colt 45,
Yeah.
I'd always pound those, things like
Oldie.
that. I still miss pre-ban Four Loko. That
Okay.
was dude, pre-ban Four Loko was a blip on the radar, but that was a hell of a blip. I remember the first time I ever had that. I was up for like 8 hours that I don't remember at all. Um, like my friends woke up with like Sharpie tattoos that apparently I gave them kind of thing. Um, yeah.
Toilet paper roll. Business in the front or party in the back?
Oh, and front.
All right, perfect.
You do the back if you got like a cat that wants to
Yeah.
paw at it and things like that. But if you don't have a cat, then it's so much easier. That's
Yeah.
actually, I believe, if you look at the patent for
Mm.
toilet paper, that's how
Yeah.
it's meant to be done.
How it's meant to be done.
Yeah.
Marcus had a good answer too, though, and it's sitting on top of the tank for
Okay.
easy access. So
Yeah.
yeah, that I guess that's an acceptable third option.
Well, and here's the follow-up question:
Yeah,
are you a buncher or are you a folder?
I'll tell you what I am. I'm a fancy bidet lad these days.
Ooh, jealous,
Yeah.
jealous.
Costco bidet. You can hook it up
I'll have to
yourself.
look into that.
Very nice. It's you'll
Okay.
never go back. You'll go to work and then have to use the toilet there, and you'll be like, "Oh my God, I
These
have to
barbarians.
wipe my hind quarters like a primitive."
I can dig it. I can dig it.
All right, favorite band or musical artist?
Ooh, I always circle back to trip hop. Like I'm always a big fan of like Portishead, like that Sneaker Pimps, like Becoming X, their first
Yeah.
album. Um, I think there's just something really fun and cinematic about that. Like I remember saying that Portishead is perfect for rainy days to smoke weed to or have sex with.
Okay. Yeah, I can see
Um,
that. Yeah.
So I bounce around between genres of music the same way I bounce around between genres of film.
Yeah.
I'll get in a mood and I'm just like I want to listen to grindcore punk rock
Yeah.
or I want to listen to classical Beethoven Chopin type of stuff or Mongolian throat singing and things like that. So but like I always kind of circle back to trip hop just because I find it kind of just settles me. It's nice and slow. You
Lo-fi.
have like
Yeah.
um, you know, uh, Portishead, Massive Attack, Morcheeba,
Mhm.
Supreme Beings of Leisure. Yeah, a lot of that. That was a really fun time, when it was just kind of creeping out, and then it started spinning out. You got like Tricky, you had Prodigy, you had a lot of that European
Yeah.
stuff that went. But like I grew up with like my mom was a big fan of like 50s doo-wop,
Yeah.
like Frankie Valli and the Beach Boys and things
Mhm.
like that. My dad was a big, Three Dog Night fan, Dr. Hook, um and Jim Croce, like big Jim Croce fan. So like I grew up with like a lot of that.
Mhm.
And then you get like a lot of those different influences from that, like Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton, Randy
Yeah.
Travis, and then you like rebel against that, and you're like, I want to listen to Sabbath and AC/DC and like go even harder. Like, have you ever heard of Cannibal Corpse and
Yeah.
you know. But music's changing in the same way that film is. Like
Yeah.
it's sad that we don't have music videos anymore because I think
Yeah.
that was a bridge that helped a lot of filmmakers get noticed to become to gain the eye of studios to direct a feature and things like that. Like I
Yeah.
know a lot of people are now looking at, trying to find the next Curry Barker, or you know
Right.
what I mean? Like they want tap into that audience that brings a market along with it kind of thing. And I think we really lost that when music
Yeah.
videos went away.
For sure. Like, I mean, what would happen? Spike Jones, for example,
Oh
the
yeah.
crazy things that Spike Jones did, and then he's turned that into a film career. But I
Yeah.
mean, if music video were gone at the time when he was coming up, what would have happened with him? I
Yeah.
mean,
There was
yeah.
that whole director series that Palm Pictures did.
Hmm.
It was him, Chris Cunningham, um, uh, Michelle Gondry, uh, Mark Romanek.
Yeah.
I want to say there's one other, but I'm not recalling. But those are super fun. That and
Yeah.
that stuff's just gone.
Yeah.
People still kind of make music videos, but it's like you got to really search them out, sort of thing. Um,
And a lot of them are all the same. Like it's just the band playing in a studio, playing on a stage with
yeah, yeah. You don't
shit
have that
happening.
kind of.
Yeah.
You don't have like Thriller with Michael Jackson, or
Yeah.
you
Or
don't have like
Sabotage. We're not gonna ever have another
yeah,
Sabotage. Yeah. All right. Here's another one. Weapon of choice in the zombie apocalypse.
Katana.
Katana. Good answer.
Yeah,
I always tell people that choose something that doesn't require ammunition that it's a good answer
yeah.
because,
You don't have to reload a sword.
yeah, exactly.
Um, I would probably say there's the name of it is blanking on me. It's from when I worked on Rescue Me, the fireman crowbar. It's got a
Oh,
specific name.
yeah. I don't
Um,
remember it either, but Michael Myers used it to kill a whole bunch of
yes,
people in
that
Halloween
that
Kills.
whole sequence was
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
Um,
The best part of that movie.
yeah, true, true.
Yeah. Okay. Who is the best Nightbreed?
Best Nightbreed. I really liked uh Narcisse,
Okay.
just because he's the only one that's really welcoming in terms of the breed.
Yeah.
I'll show you. You take me.
Yeah.
You know, he's the only one that um kind of helps Boone out. Outside of like maybe Klinsky, who serves as his advocate. Um, but yeah, I would say Narcisse because Peliquin's super cool. So is Shonasasi,
Mhm.
super hot in a weird,
Yeah.
confusing your boner as Sonic the Hedgehog kind of way. But yeah, no, I think that's the other thing. Like, I would love to see more of those characters, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
All right. Cats, dogs, or other?
I'm a dog. I'm a dog guy. I
You're a
actually
dog guy?
have two. We used to foster dogs, and then right around COVID, we had a staffy that kept trying to set up play dates for people to meet the dog, get them acclimated to their house, their kids, the other
Yeah.
pets they might have had, and things like that, and then just kept getting canceled and canceled. And meant to have this dog for like a week, maybe two at most, and then it became 4 weeks, and then it became 3 months, and then it became, my wife was like, well, now I keep dog. It's like, this is our dog now. I'm like, oh, I was living in, my little two-bedroom apartment at the time, my little bachelor pad. And I
Yeah.
was like, you can't have a dog, doesn't have a yard, things like that. And then it was like, well, you have to get the dog a house. So I had to ended up getting married and adopting the dog and moved into the house. And then as soon as we moved in the house, we weren't even here a month. And she had a coworker that was getting out of a bad relationship, and
Okay.
of course, before they did, they tried to fix it by adopting a dog. So now you had this dog that needed to be rehomed, and this dog is just a mutt, but in the most lovable way possible.
Hmm.
Like it's just she's just cranked to 11 all the time. The only time she's not at 11 is when she's asleep, and I love it.
All right. And the last question is, what is your favorite 80s cartoon?
80s cartoon.
Yeah.
I mean, the ones I watched a lot, like I was a big fan of Danger Mouse,
Hmm.
and they had like Banana Man in that as well. That was right around the same block as Count Duckula. Um, yeah, from the 80s, I would have to say Yeah, I'll say Danger Mouse. That's the one I probably watched the most as a kid,
Okay.
which is really
I
weird because it's just like that weard British take on
yeah, yeah.
James Bond kind of thing. I don't
When
know
you said
how I
Count
was ever watching
Duckula, I
that.
was like, yeah, that's a British one. But
Yeah. Yeah, I remember watching a lot of that stuff, like
yeah,
the Unico, the Last Unicorn, a lot of that weird stuff because the library was like the one place we could always rent movies, and they always had
yeah.
the ridiculous things. Um,
I
but
had
yeah,
never
yeah.
seen I had never even heard of the Last Unicorn until this year.
Oh, dude,
Some
yeah,
yeah,
it's a wacky one. There's
yeah. Somebody requested that I review it for the channel, so I did as a non-horror movie, and yeah, holy smokes, it's
yeah,
crazy.
there's a lot of weird ones like the guys that did Akira. They're part of like an anthology one. I want to say that
Mhm.
that's it's like Carnival or something like that. Um, then there's like the Serpent's Egg. There's a lot of weird ones. There's like
Yeah.
Midori if you're looking for like weird Asian animated horror.
Yeah.
Um, like I like Ninja Scroll,
Yeah.
Akira, Biohunter. Like that's Devil City. That's like my kind of stuff. Like I
Yeah.
try to keep up with some of the modern stuff. Like I like Doro Hedoro. There was that Egrasuko, the one with like
Oh, the
little
death metal
fox
guy.
girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, she would like
Yeah.
scream heavy metal karaoke kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, but like there's
I
just so much now. That's a
oh yeah.
plethora of, like
Every time I mean, I have to spend so much time watching movies for this full-time hobby of mine that I don't have any time to like. I've tried to watch One Piece, and
yeah.
I always get to the same point in the One Piece anime. Like I always get to the same point and then I stop, and then I was like, oh shit, I don't even remember what happened. I got to start over again, and I get to the same spot and I stop.
Yeah. I try to keep up with like the benchmarks culturally. Like I
Yeah,
was like, okay, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna watch K-pop Demon Hunters.
yeah.
And like the songs got stuck in my head,
Oh,
totally an earworm kind of
I
thing. But I
gave
was
that
like,
one a 9 out of 10. That was one of my non-horror reviews too. Somebody
yeah,
requested that one. Yeah, and oh, that was a great movie. Like
yeah,
I couldn't believe it. I said, you know what? Here's my final verdict on this movie. I can't believe it either. I kind of fucking loved it. You
yeah.
know?
And
Yeah.
like I wish people would revisit like older adult animation and
Yeah.
like Ralph Bakshi, like they always bring up like Fritz the Cat and things like that. But like his other stuff, like Hey Good Looking, I think is far better.
Mhm.
Coonskin's far better. Heavy Traffic is in my opinion. But then that you can see like how that influenced other stuff like Wizards and
Mhm.
heavy metal and then even overseas like Triplets of Belleville. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. It
I
was
have heard of it. I have not seen it, I don't
yeah,
think.
it was nominated for like best song Oscar the same year that City of God was nominated for like best foreign picture kind of thing. But
Okay.
that was the year like anything that was named after a cold mountain or a Brokeback Mountain won.
I actually have one more for you that I just remembered because I was thinking about it as we went through, and it went out of my brain, but now it's back. In honor of the new Masters of the Universe movie coming out, that looks
Ooh.
fantastic. Who is your favorite Masters of the Universe character?
Ooh, man. Those toys were always super fun.
Yeah, and they threw whatever they could at the wall towards the end of that
Yeah.
toy run.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Um, like the toys were just like Beast Man was the most ridiculous. He was like a teddy bear with like hard plastic arms.
yeah,
Um, and then there was like the weird stuff that like I remember there was I forget his name, the skunk
yeah.
one, and he
Stinkor.
smelled real bad.
Yeah,
And then
Stinkor.
his yes, and then his counterpart was the Moss Man that
Yeah,
smelled like a pine fresh air freshener.
and he
That was
always and he always felt wet. Whenever you
yeah,
touched the guy, he was always wet. It was gross. Jeff, my co-host again, he still has his stinkor, and his stinkor still stinks, and it's 40 years later, right? That's
nice.
crazy.
Favorite character, I would say, I would love to see what was his name? Hordak?
Hordak,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, Hordak.
from
Yeah.
She-Ra,
I would
yeah,
love to see like Hordak
yeah,
realized because that whole play set with the trap door and the puppet snake thing,
yeah,
um, like that was super dope because it was like the slime and like that's when like the the characters really expanded.
Yeah.
But they never really did much with that. It always kind of felt like when they brought Serpentor in with Cobra Commander with
Yeah.
the G.I. Joe movie.
Yeah.
It's like, cool, what do we do now? You
Yeah.
know, it's not in like the series or the comic books. Well, sort of in the comic books, but um,
Have
yeah.
you seen the trailer of the new movie? Like they even
The
have
Masters of the
Masters of the
Universe?
Universe, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I'm real weird about Jared Leto being
Oh,
Skeletor, but it
yeah.
looks like, he's just behind so much CGI. Like I got to
Yeah.
work with Franklin
Let
Jella, and he
let
told me
let
the story about
let's put
being
Jared Leto
Skeletor.
over here.
Yeah.
But like the other things that they've done with the other characters look so cool. They've even got that guy that has the red helmet and the jaw, like the metallic
Oh,
jaw.
Trapjaw.
Yeah, they've got Trap Jaw and he's practical. He's not CGI.
Yeah.
And it looks cool. There's a lot of cool stuff.
Well, I know there was Jason Eisner that did Hobo with a Shotgun.
Yeah.
He had been pursuing to do He-Man for a lot for probably like a decade. Like that was his big, I think,
Hmm.
studio push after he did that. Because he ended up doing a bunch of camera work on um Trailer Park Boys, and
Hmm.
then he developed Dark Side of the Ring, which, congrats to him. He just won a bunch of awards for that.
Yeah.
Um and then like he wasn't able to do Masters of the Universe, but if you watch his movie Kids versus Aliens, like
Yeah.
there's like a whole sliming sequence that looks like a giant life-size playset of the Hordak thing. So like I
There's a
would have
lot.
loved to have seen him do like an
Yeah.
R-rated
There's a
He-Man
lot of
kind of thing. But
filmmakers that love that universe. I just did a review of The Bloody Man from 2020. And I can't remember Daniel something was the name of the guy who did that one, but this was very heavily influenced by He-Man and the Masters of the Universe too. Like even down to having figures were just like slightly modified Masters of the Universe characters play a
Mhm.
part in the movie. So yeah, I mean, and he's done fan films too. But yeah, I hope it's good. That one in
Yeah.
the Street Fighter 2 movie looks pretty cool too. I mean, as
Yeah.
ridiculous as it all
I,
is.
I hope they like can start spinning off like other properties. Like I would love to see like uh like they never fully realized like Captain Power. I don't know if you remember that,
Yeah.
where it was like
Yep.
you had the toy and it could play with the video, like the Zapper. Um, there was Silverhawks would be dope as
Yeah.
well. Like I
Sure,
know
Brave
everyone wants
Star.
to push for like a Voltron.
Yeah.
Um, but like Jason and the Wheelers, like I think that would be super dope.
Or
Um,
Mask.
yeah, Mask was
Yeah.
super rad.
Hmm.
Um, and we never really got a conclusion to Pirates of the Dark Water.
Yeah.
So that I think that would be, we haven't had a really good pirate movie in a while since,
They had that SNES game for Pirates of the Dark Water that was pretty good, but
yeah, there was like kind of a conclusion to the
yeah.
storyline with that where he like
Yeah.
they beat the Dark Water bad guy,
Yeah.
but yeah, like that's when they were just making video games for whatever, like the
Yeah.
Fern Gully video game, Lion King video game.
They had a home improvement video game for crying out loud.
Um,
Tim the Toolman Taylor. All right. So you survived the lightning round. Congratulations. You did great. Zach, thank you so much for coming on the show. You've done
yeah,
so many cool things. You have a
really
genuine
appreciate
passion
you having
for,
me.
of course, anytime. You have a genuine passion for making movies, and it shines through in your work, and we, the viewing public, are all the better for it. If a producer happens to be watching this and they want to hire you, how can they get a hold of you best?
You can find me on Facebook.
Okay.
You can find my website is zachshowalter.com.
Okay.
I'm on Vimeo, vimeo.com/, Zach Showalter, and you can watch a lot of my shorts for free the next time you're pooping. Um, Totally recommend it.
Yeah.
I've done some really fun stuff. Uh, did a couple shorts with I love working with porn stars. So I've done a short with Joanna Angel and Small Hands. I did a one feature I did was with Marilyn Mason, the BBW star. Recently got to work with Little Puck. If you don't know her work, she's an amazing cosplayer as well. Like
Okay.
her stuff is fantastic. Like she did an Alien one from the movie Alien.
Okay.
She dressed up as oh God, I forget the name of the character from the cartoon Gargoyles. The
Oh
the,
shit.
the female one. Oh fuck, I
Yeah.
forget.
I can picture
Uh,
her in my head right now, but I cannot.
Nailed it though.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Her Instagram is
yeah.
aces. Um, so yeah, if there's a producer out there, like I write, I direct, I produce. I've got a background in art department, uh, grip and electric.
Makeup.
Used to do video production. Setting up sound relays and actual projectors, special effects makeup. Uh, so whatever you need, I can work with pretty much any budget. Been working with a lot of shoestring budgets, no budgets. Ohio is great for, asking for forgiveness rather than permission to shoot kind of thing. But the great thing is it's the Wild West. You can get away with a lot. And
Yeah.
people are really excited, like, yeah, come on in, use my grandma, put her in there. Um, and I really love that more so. Like, New York, you can kind of sort of get away with that. Like LA is just, now like everyone, the unions have their hands out. You got to go into the desert to try to pull something off. Um, Chicago is kind of cool. Like I would love to be able to travel and shoot some other stuff. So, have a camera, we'll travel sort of thing.
Perfect. All right. Well, Zach, you can come back anytime. Hopefully the next time we've got all of the base interview stuff out of the way, like about your history and about your career and all that stuff, and then we can just talk about video games and movies we like and anime and stuff
Yeah,
that we
totally
enjoy.
down for that.
Yeah. So you can come back anytime. So, Zach, yeah, it was lovely to have you, and I'm glad we got to have this talk.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.